everybody, my name is Megan.
And I am Eric.
And today we are very excited for the first time?
Yes.
The first time to be doing a review of a Scotch, and this is the Glenmorangie Signet.
Yes, Glenmorangie.
Yeah, we realized we tried this about a year ago, fell in love with it, absolutely loved it. We were mispronouncing the distillery the entire time, so now every time we say it out loud, we're like, Glenmorangie. Yes. Glenmorangie. I have to listen to it on our book. Oh, that's a good way to remember it.
Otherwise we say Glenmorangie.
Oh, wait. You gotta... No, don't say it wrong on the video. There's this awesome box where it has a magnet and beautifully opens. Nice story on the inside. Pictures on our Instagram, folks. I'm not going to take that out of the box. Absolutely not.
So this is an expensive bottle. It's $200. I won fantasy football this year.
Woo!
So we decided to spend that on whiskey.
Because what better is there, guys, than spending your hard fantasy football money on whiskey? And I also want to point out, we were gifted this very cool Glencairn. It has a nice stem. It has a glass cover with it too, from our friend Eric, also with a case. So thank you so much, Eric. This Eric absolutely loves that.
Yes, and I thought with this fancy of a bottle, we
got to get a little fancy with the Glencairn.
I think it's Copia. Is the type of Glencairn it is.
I'm sorry, guys. I have no idea. But a little bit about Glenmorangie while Eric's pouring for us. So this is a Scotch. So if you don't know, all bourbons, whiskeys, and Scotches are all whiskeys. So whiskey is the top, and then it goes into its different branches depending on where it's made and what ingredients it's made out of. So a Scotch made in Scotland. This specifically is a Highland Scotch. So Glenmorangie is in the Highlands of Scotland, so in that section that's near the top of the island.
This is a non-peated Scotch, so that's one of your worries. This is
Don't worry.
Peat. This is malted barley. It has two different types of notes. The important one in this one is like a coffee note.
So on the website, because of course I like reading about the distilleries and the different bottles and things in their descriptions, and I've already had this multiple times before reading it. They call it a Mocha Bomb.
Yes.
And I was like, absolutely, because to us, we always get tiramisu, which we'll get even more into the flavors as we taste. But we absolutely love tiramisu and love this bottle, the coffee flavor.
I think I said it. If I didn't, I think I said it's expensive. It's a $200 bottle.
You did.
It's around 91 proof. I can be exact. It is 92 proof. And some of the whiskey in here is 35 to 40 years old. So
I was just going to ask you that, but then I was like, what if he doesn't know?
I don't know if it's all 35 to 40, but at least a portion of it is 35 to 40 years old, which at that point, you're starting to see why it's a $200 bottle.
Incredibly
just
complex.
That age. And this stopper, I mean,
it's a very nice
one of the
bottle.
best stoppers that I've...
It's very heavy. Like, in a great way. We love it when it's that metal, got the little bit of weight in the stopper. Just very satisfying when you're closing it. Which sounds silly. Maybe you guys don't care as much about bottles and stoppers as we do, but we like it to have a little finesse in the packaging.
If you're spending the money, it's nice to have it.
Yeah, give us something pretty. And just in general, too, with, like Eric said, some of the whiskey in here, 35 to 40 years. Scotch in general is aged much longer than bourbon.
Yes.
Because think about Pappy being 23 years.
Yep. They don't lose as much of the whiskey, and it takes a little bit longer to age because Scotland, based off of one of the like little documentaries we watch, they said it's dreadfully miserable in Scotland.
He's talking about the climate, guys. Don't come for us.
Year round.
Yeah, because well, you're right. Because in that documentary too, and when we visited Kentucky, they said it's one of the best places in the world to make bourbon because of the weather differences. It's just constantly going in and out of the barrels multiple times in a year. Where in Scotland, that's not happening quite as much because there aren't as extremes. But should we get into the nose?
Absolutely. Oh. I can smell it from here already. I don't even have to put it up.
It's so potent and powerful. It smells great. I mean, for me, chocolate.
Yes.
Chocolate in the nose, very little coffee. So mocha, but it's just really chocolatey, and it's interesting because there's not really that oak nose that you get with a lot of bourbon. Like this Scotch is just chocolate on the nose to me. What about you?
I am getting chocolate, for sure. Maybe a little barley. That makes sense. It is all barley. You can smell that a little bit in here.
You know what? I bet barley is that like distinct smell in Scotch that I always get that's different now that you're calling it out. That would make sense because there is like that grain scent in it, but it doesn't really smell like anything else except for Scotch. Okay.
And maybe a little bit of fruit in there. I don't know what the fruit is, but like a light fruit in the nose. I don't know if you're getting that, but
if I do get it, I would say it's like if someone next to you like bites into a nectarine and you get that like slight smell, but you're not experiencing the taste.
Yes.
It's kind of like that bit of freshness.
I was thinking like pear, like something really lightly scented.
That makes sense.
Can
I take a sip?
Absolutely.
I'm like, I've smelled enough. I want to get into this 1 carat now. It is so freaking good.
So the initial taste, like when it first goes into your mouth.
Tiramisu.
Yes.
Coffee chocolate.
It's sort of hard because the finish starts like almost immediately.
And that's what I love about Scotch because it has so many complex flavors at once. It's not really, in my opinion, for the Scotches that I've tried, and we've tried a good handful. It's like the finish is part of the flavor because it starts while you're still like chewing it in your mouth and tasting it, but then that finish continues while the other flavors dissipate. And you get a lot of a smoky tobacco flavor in the finish, which I personally absolutely love.
And that finish for me is almost still going on this one. It's still lasting. Like, you don't need, I poured way too much of this. That is my Eric fault. I'm a little heavy-handed pour.
I said nothing when he poured it.
You can just sip on this, have one sip, and it'll last you like 5 minutes before you have to go in again.
It's true. But the good thing is I absolutely love this, and I will drink my ginormous 2-ounce pour happily.
It's only an ounce and a half.
Debatable, folks, debatable. But back to the flavor. Like, I get the chocolate, the coffee, that creamy tiramisu, and immediately the tobacco and smoke. And then as you swallow the Scotch, then the tobacco and smoke almost fills your mouth with like the hints of the chocolate, where when you're first drinking it, it's like the opposite. It's the chocolate, the coffee, and just a little tobacco and smoke.
I mean, I couldn't have said it any better myself. That's exactly what I get. And the big thing on the, like, compared to any other bourbon or whiskey that I've had, this finish literally
phenomenal.
Goes for days.
It really does.
Still going. And it's just amazing.
It is. And I will say too that when I first started drinking bourbon and more of American whiskey, I initially wasn't a fan, which is shocking because now you see me on here multiple times and I'm drinking my whiskey and bourbon away. But over time, I began to like it more. The same thing happened when Eric started introducing me to Scotch as well. The first time I had it, I was like, absolutely not. What is this? And then we tried the Glenmorangie Signet, and I was absolutely hooked, and it like changed something where now I enjoy all sorts of scotches, and I really like trying them.
This is like your Woodford Reserve.
It is my Woodford Reserve Double Oak. It is. It was the game changer for me, and it's just so pleasant and full of memories and just enjoyable.
And this has a very lightly smoky flavor, like, but it's not like peat, where it's not the punch in your mouth of smoke like you're smoking a cigarette.
No, it's like
the best parts of smoking.
Yes, it is. Or like if you have a whiskey and a cigar, it's almost like that flavor of the cigar when it's still pleasant, not like stale in your mouth for when you wake up the next morning. But like after you're done smoking and that little bit of smoky flavor that sticks with you, that's what it's like drinking this without the smoke. Save your lungs.
Should we go to scoring?
We sure should.
Nose. I'll be honest. Nose on this, it's not like anything remarkable. You get nice chocolate notes, in my opinion.
I think the nose is unique though when it comes to Scotch and bourbon, because there's not really another one that you smell chocolate quite like this. But out of 3 points, right?
Yes.
Out of 3, I would probably give it a 2.25.
I am going to give it a 2. I think it's good. I don't think it's what makes the whiskey. I don't think it's remarkable.
Well, that's because the flavor is so remarkable. Yes. And out of 4 points, I'm going to give it the full 4. I could not ask for anything more out of this Scotch than what it is giving me.
I am going to give it 3.5, but we're going to show you why in just a moment. Okay. I think it's very good. It's pretty short for me for like the initial taste.
Oh, and then the finish you're gonna give it 3.
Yeah.
Okay, you're like, we're gonna show you why, and I'm like, what are we showing? Show me. Yes, the finish is a 3 for me as well.
I am going to do it the first time ever, give it extra credit and give it 3.5 out of 3.
Okay.
Because it is seriously the best finish.
So out of the 7 points that you can give for taste and finish, you're giving 7 points in different categories. I understand why though, guys, because really the finish starts right away.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. Honestly, I mean, this bottle is just fantastic. I think that a lot of people that drink bourbon should dabble in Scotch just a little. Like, go, if you're at a bar and there's Scotch and it's reasonably priced, just try a little bit. Or even at, like, your local liquor store or Total Wine, you get those little bottles. And sometimes they have really nice Scotch in those little bottles for, like, $8. And you can get a taster and see, is this any good?
If you want to dive right into it and spend $200, I would highly recommend this if you like tiramisu.
Highly recommend.
If you don't like tiramisu, I would go a different route. But if you like those coffee, chocolatey flavors,
a little bit of a cigar or a cigarette, the best parts of it, not the bad parts.
I can't see going wrong on this bottle. It's definitely a 9 out of 10. It's probably a 10 out of 10. I don't see anything wrong with it, really.
There's absolutely, I don't have a complaint about this bottle. I think, like, for us with the nose, us being like, well, maybe it's not a 3 out of 3, is because the flavor and finish is so remarkable. But yeah, I have no complaints. Like, truly a great bottle.
Yes, and I would definitely spend $200 a year on this.
Yeah.
And
a special treat. It's not something that, honestly, it would be a nightly sipper for me because it's so unique. And after drinking this, the flavor does stick with you. Like, it fills your mouth, and I really wouldn't want to drink a different, especially bourbon. I would not really want to go from a Scotch to a bourbon like that because of the flavor.
Absolutely.
But, delicious, remarkable, amazing, fantastic.
Absolutely. Sort of like our channel that you should like, subscribe,
comment. Let us know if you've had it, tried it, love it.
Follow us on Instagram.
At the Babes of Bourbon.
Yes. Thank you so much for tuning in tonight.
Yeah. And I just keep having this podcast that I listen to, their ending play. And because we're ending our video, I feel like I should be saying it. But we won't. And I hope you guys have an absolutely great night.
And
Drink some bourbon or scotch or whiskey. Cheers!
Cheers.